Someone left a comment on one of my videos, and I don't remember the username. I've responded to so many people, I don't remember the username, but one of you said that you feel like you've been walking through the valley of death on a tightrope. And I do not believe in coincidence, and it's okay, people who do. And I used to think everything was just complete meaningless chaos and completely random. But I have thought about it. I've thought about my life and my experience in those exact, words, those words, that I'm walking through the valley of the shadow of death on a tightrope. A razor wire tightrope. And we all are. I can't speak for anyone. I really can't. I can speak for myself. It would be up to any individual and every individual whether they agreed with that statement or not. Do you feel like your life, do you feel like you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death on a tightrope? Yes or no? I would have to guess a lot of people would say yes. And I'm sitting here in the sun. It's nice outside. And I've got this little device that I can share this moment with everybody. And I've got my t-shirt. I know someone mentioned in my last video. You didn't see it. Love is real. I am blessed. Decentralized. And then my little anti-circles. No more three-letter agencies. I'm tired of them trampling on us. I'm sitting here with bone tumors in the entire, for whatever reason, just the left side of my skull, and the right side of my face is unaffected. And I had a point in 2015 where the tumors in my sinus had swollen up so much that they were compressing my sinuses, and I couldn't even hardly breathe through my nose. It was like that last 10% of just like, and I had to get this surgery. They went in, they cut it out. I had these tubes hanging out of my nose for days after the surgery. Man, and it burned. It was like a sore throat, but it was sharper than that. It was more of a gnawing, biting sensation. Tumors in my skull, and in my legs, sitting here with my legs. My blessed legs that want to go like this, and I just about, and I do need to clip my toenails. I can't hardly, it's a strain to do that. It's a strain. My legs are bowed. They don't want to go together. They want to go like this or like this. And neither one can ever be exactly where it wants to be. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay. And it actually is kind of funny with how ridiculous of a situation it is. And I have this disease because my mom and dad met in basic training for the United States military, and they were in the Army, and they were deployed to the first Gulf War Desert Storm, and they were exposed to toxic waste, depleted uranium ammunition that the American military fired at the Iraqi forces and the Iraqi civilians. And if you do a Google image search for depleted uranium babies, you can see what depleted uranium, you can see what toxic waste, radioactive toxic waste does to human beings' DNA. And that was for the Iraqi people who were on the receiving end. And my parents came home. They were both deployed. They were both in that war. They got married on leave from Desert Storm. They were deployed. They got engaged. They were deployed to war. They came home on leave for it was either 1 or 2 weeks, and they got married. That's the story of my mom and my dad. Married in a war, married on leave from a war. John and Mary. My father and my mother, John and Mary. And they went, and when they signed up, they thought they were doing something right. And when the war started, they still felt they were on the right side. And then they realized while it was going on that it was messed up and that it was wrong. And they didn't feel proud to be a part of it anymore. They felt shame. They felt guilt for being a part of that tool. Even though when you go to the military, if you say no, they court-martial you. They're legally allowed to shoot you in the head if you disobey an order at war. And they were exposed to this toxic waste ammunition. And my parents didn't get it as bad as the Iraqi people got it. And my parents were in the United States military forces on the end that was sending, exposed to the ammunition and all of the crazy anthrax and bio-warfare experimental vaccines that they were forcing soldiers to take under threat of court-martial. If you don't take the anthrax vaccine, you will go to jail and you will be sentenced and everything. They came home sick with Gulf War illness, Gulf War syndrome, just this mass amount of symptoms. All these symptoms. Hundreds of thousands of American veterans came home with that sick. The United States did not acknowledge them for the longest time. I don't know if they do now. I think they just recently started to. They're in the first stages. It took them 30 years to acknowledge Agent Orange, and they're just now in the earliest stages of acknowledging it. And they don't compensate people at all. But I don't want compensation. They couldn't pay me $1 billion to forget about this and say, you know what? Yeah. Oh, I'll take the $1 billion and hush about it. They couldn't pay me. Then my parents had me with a genetic disease, a genetic mutation from depleted uranium, from toxic waste ammunition that self-sharpens when it hits the target. The friction makes it sharper and it bores through whatever it hits and it ignites. It self-sharpens and catches fire as it hits the target. The most destructive, the epitome of the image of destruction. Fired from tanks and I think helicopters. Toxic waste ammunition that self-sharpens and catches fire and ignites as it hits its target, that is radioactive, and all of the particles that blow up and explode into the air, they become vapor molecules with a half-life of billions and billions of years that affects and just settles into the area and becomes a poison and a plague on the land and the people, with a half-life of billions of years, poisoning the very genetic code, the most fundamental abomination and the most fundamental blasphemy of war, literally on a genetic level, genetic warfare to poison and corrupt. And here I am, man. Here I am with the tumors in my face and my t-shirt that I made that says love is real. Man, I made this a year ago. I've got a few other t-shirts I made. I'll show everybody the ones I have, and I want to make more. Love is real, and I'm done with the eye of providence, and I'm done with loving money and valuing myself by the number of dollars I have. I'm done with all of that. And I'm in pain every single day. And I didn't sleep last night, actually. My back was hurting too much. And I could not get comfortable. And that's okay. I'm alive and I'm breathing. I can breathe. My nose has gotten a little stuffier since they cut the tumors out. It has. And a lot of the times people with my disease, after they get it cut out from the sinus, it grows back and then they can't breathe again and it has to be cut out regularly. And we'll see. And I'll deal with that if it comes to that. If I need another surgery, I'll do it. But I'm breathing right now. And I've got the ultimate status symbol, a glass, purified water. Just purified, good old-fashioned distilled water. And people talk about the glass half full or half empty. Look at this. Look at this. This is a fifth empty, man. This is BS. See that? The perspective, it could always... Look at this. I got scammed. This is at least a fifth empty. I wanted it overflowing. I wanted some drops coming down the side. I wanted more water. I needed more water. And I'm not happy because this was not enough. A little bit of a joke. Oh, man. The ultimate status symbol, and that symbol, the Eye of Providence, on the back of the dollar, that money that they get us so warped with that, chasing that and valuing it, and the red carpet events and the Hollywood entertainment sick industry, the Jeffrey Epstein, every single person connected somehow to Jeffrey Epstein for sure. There's people hating themselves. There was a long time where I hated myself. I thought I was worthless because I didn't have enough money, because I wasn't in the spotlight. That the red carpet people are the ones who are important. The elected officials and the media, all of these people. But really, the dollars that aren't backed by anything anymore, they're not backed by gold or silver. Not anymore. In, I think it was the 40s, they took it completely off. They took it off the gold standard at the end of the 20th century. No, 19th century. And then they took it off the silver standard in the middle of the 20th century and said, you know what? The dollar now represents purely your full faith in the power and the strength of the United States government and military. And all the money really is, all it really means to us, ultimately it's a middleman between us and the food and the water and shelter that we need to be alive right now. And right now, in this moment, with the tumors in my face and in my bones, from literal war crimes and toxic waste ammunition from a war that was completely unjust and made a lot of people rich who held the highest offices in the government. And I'm sitting here and I have an absolute value for myself and for every other person on this planet with a story, every single person with a story and a voice, and it is level, absolutely equal. There is not one person who is more or less important than anyone else. There is not one voice that is more or less important or powerful than anybody else. And I believe that. And I don't need, what do I need money for right now? I'm breathing and I have water. What are you going to do with billions of dollars? What is that? You've got yourself. It's like, oh yeah, that'll keep you alive for thousands of years, man. Wow, billions of dollars, you'll be able to stay alive for 10,000 years. Holy crap, man, I wish I had that much money so that I could live thousands of years as well. Not gonna happen, man. All of these goofballs, Jeffrey Epstein, he's either alive or if he is dead, he was murdered and his head is for sure on, like, cryogenically frozen right there next to Walt Disney. It's good, it's a nice day, it's a beautiful day. I got a tree growing in the corner of my yard. Look at this. And it is covered in thorns. So, watch out for that tree, but it's pretty. Be careful of that, it is a sharp tree. But it's really pretty and it's nice to have in the corner of my yard.